Esta landing kafeniko uchushin salane chipo ya isule chalo chesu konshoko amalanda kuilishanya upinano kuulilwa vile bongo mokange fula abulaya amatondong kanyoya lilembwa patin sopya bakalamba imisebela abaichene pitekwa mwema kufi yanti wenenoka mutima wandi Imandashi, Nipashi, Akola, Tifichin Fie, Lesta, Tifichin Fie, Lesta, Wamilalo. Imimana masabika bambwe umufundo bonse wanyanta imitinda mane mpanga umutata kuya amabwana mintapendwa babo mpili umba elo unonshi babahe bamabebala Infula kwenda ila loka Tende dwimba pofye pefye Elo dushala pofye nechi Sungumu kanwa Wena kufi Yanti Wenda noka Mutima Wandi mno She me Pashia Coquella Defeating fate Defeating fate Okupepa kwena tura pepa Nokufunga nipa mushi Amasambili lonayo Nileka leka Ukuwamba na kutula wamba Ashana bagabalwe Ulucheno akasuba Yono mushiku Ushimintande afita Nakula mano ayachepa Gachuchuti kamwetata Jeriko Wema kufi Yanti Winenuka Mutima She Pashia Coquella Defeating Fie Lesta Defeating Fie Lesta Wamilalo Yanti Winenoka Mutima She Nemi Pashia Coquella
Wow. Good evening, Zambia, wherever you are listening to us and watching this program. I want to welcome you from wherever you are. From wherever. Maybe you are in Luapula. You are saying, no, this program, what is it all about? Maybe you are listening to us in Chipata, Chipata. Maybe you are watching us right now. You are saying to us, you are in Mongu there, Litumezi. We want to say thank you to all of you that are watching from Mongu, Kwakalabo, wherever you are watching us. Well, tonight it's gonna be a great night. I've got a great leader that is joined us right now, and we want to say thank you to all the platforms that are sharing the page and those of you that have tuned in tonight. We want to say thank you very much as we will dive into serious matters that pertains to the nation of Zambia. As we look at this program, as we have called it, Zambia Decides. Those that are watching from Revelation TV, Zambia, on channel 88 on Top Star, we want to say thank you very much for every one of you that are tuning in the comfort of your home. Well, this is your friend and brother, Dr. Nkhoma, coming to you. We always say here, we want to get Kombon out of Kombon into Mayad. We want to take people, the Zambian people, from compounds to get to live a life that they have dreamt of. Well, Zambia, we've got an opportunity this year to be able to bring leaders into government. We've got an opportunity this year to look into how do we design the nation that we want to see for the next 5 years. For the next 5 years. Now, having said so, allow me to state categorically here that the UPND government was given a mandate to govern the nation of Zambia on the 12th of August 2021. The Zambian people decided and they said, we want change, and we had to bring in the UPND, and we are looking at the 5 years of the UPND. Down the lane, basically 6 months before we say, hey, we are voting again. Zambia Decides is a program that is meant to help Zambians make a right choice. We don't want you just to go and vote. Yatulanda tichivote. Tufuna lini kungovota wanyamuka kuti notaluta tikavote kambaka kuti mzanga avota tichivote kambaka kuti mzanga avota. We want to make sure that our eyes are open before we cast the vote. Therefore, we have to open our eyes. And tonight, I am privileged, a rare moment and a rare privilege to have with me on the set a great leader that I've always known and admired. Those of you that grew up yesterday, you may not have known this man, but this man has been one of the trailblazers, one of the founding leaders, even of the movement for multi-party democracy. And also he comes from the royal family, and this is Prince Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika. He's with me today. We normally call him Uncle Aka. Let me welcome Uncle Aka tonight. Uncle Aka, how are you doing this evening?
I'm very well, very privileged and very happy to be having this opportunity to converse. And I wish you and all of us and our country and Africa peace and progress as we move towards the 2026 election opportunity point, which is anchored on the master key which our forefathers fought for. That master key was the vote. One man, one vote. In more current language, one person, one vote. They fought for this because they believed that it is the master key which will enable every citizen who undertakes his civic duty to vote to be able to influence and guide our governance as a free people and our economy as the people whom these governments are supposed to serve.
Well. Uncle Aka, I want to quickly begin to dive into matters that the Zambian people would wish to hear. Zambians are aging to know. Let me ask you, because you are a veteran politician, you have been around for quite some time, and you have seen all the last 6 presidents, and you have experienced all of them, and now you are in the 7th republic at the moment. Let me say this. I want you to, in a nutshell, I want you to look into the last 5 years. I'm not going to go into the days of Kaunda, the days of FTJ. We're not going to go into that because it's going to take us another day. And I know, but we have to hit the nail on its head. The last 5 years of the UPND government and President Hakainde Hichilema's administration. What are your thoughts? And I want you to be very fair here. I want you to bring to us, what are the successes that you can reflect on? And if there are any failures, will you be bold enough tonight and share with us to say, no. Here there are these matters, there are these matters, and there are these matters. I want you to pick it up from there.
Yes, let's focus on that. You've already mentioned the key word, change. The ushering in through the votes of citizens of the presidency of HH and the government administration of UPND was clearly a cast of faith for change. And so that the UPND, the last 4.5 years, and the entire program, who have to be judged on the extent to which they have fulfilled that change. And I think that on balance, it is negative. It is negative because when we reflect our experience and how we feel now, you find that the same grievances that they inherited are being echoed. The grievances of constitutional manipulation, the grievances of an economy that's not inclusive, the grievances of sectional domination, the grievances of people feeling that they're being discriminated against, the grievances of people feeling that the ruling party is treating the government of Zambia as if it's a party property, as if it's going back to the days when we had the expression, the party and its government, which we had hoped we had left behind in 1991. So in 2021, I certainly was ready for change, and a change that would have addressed these problems that we are saying were there before and have continued in some cases in a worse state. Sometimes they look worse simply from perspective, but other times with no doubt whatsoever that these problems exist.
So now, Uncle Aka, I want you to come in and give us highlights. When you say the UPND is running the government like their own house, and the Zambian people may feel aggrieved on that, do you have any examples that you can cite? Do you have any can you substantiate? Can you back up your statement?
From their own mouth, they call this the New Deal government.
The New Dawn, the New Deal was from Wanawasa. The New Deal was from Wanawasa.
Okay. I suffer from having experienced all of them. So New Deal, yes, the New Dawn.
Yes.
And one of the, just speaking one by one, of the criticism they themselves had against the last government administration of PF over selective manipulation of the constitution in a biased manner, in a manner that's not fully consultative, in a manner that is not comprehensive. And this came to a head during Bill 10. And they spoke very much against it. And the reason they spoke against it was to speak against selective changes in the constitution, the overreach of the executive in determining constitutional changes. And they did the same thing just last year in a bill that this time it was Bill 7, now it's an act of parliament. So in terms of the constitution, they have failed to bring a change which was necessary. The change which was necessary as far as the constitution is concerned is to stop the habit of government administration manipulating the constitution selectively in their favor against the outcry of people who don't feel included or who don't feel to be in a position to influence things. This has not changed. And the lack of that change is a failure, and a very disappointing failure. The other point is that President HH himself was a victim of a government administration that was arresting political opponents left, right, and center, exaggerating offenses to the extent that HH himself was a victim of a case put against him, a charge against him, which was basically, to all reasonable people, at worst, a traffic offense, but it was called treason, and he went into prison. Just recently, we are hearing government spokespeople talking about treason in a manner that intimidates anybody with a different opinion to watch out in case they step into a charge of treason. That this continuation of this habit is a failure. In terms of the economy, they inherited an economy which had continued for many years to be heavily indebted externally, heavily dependent on the IMF and the World Bank, heavily focused in terms of investment and development along the line of rail. This has not changed. The majority of our people, the majority of the areas of the country have been left out of major development which have concentrated along the line of rail. This is the situation they inherited. It has not changed. So there are many other examples of where this change has not taken place. But what this experience brings to us is that, as you have said, we have changed presidents, and now we are on the 7th president. We have changed ruling parties. But throughout this period, we seem to be dogged by the same problem. So that perhaps even the change they were talking about and promising in 2021, when we are not fundamental enough to really conclusively address the problems that the country has been facing. So that this coming election, after their 5-year period, the lesson we have taken from, which we should take from, is that changing the person of the president, changing the ruling party may be necessary, may make you feel good, but it is far from being enough. So what our experience under UPND's last 5 years, 4.5 years has been, along the line with the previous administration, is to emphasize and underscore the fact that we need the real radical change, not just changes in personalities and in ruling parties.
All right, I'm going to ask some few questions from you on that one, Uncle Aka, because the reason why I have to ask these few questions is because you are a statesman and you are an elder. Now, you have highlighted a few issues here in line with the failures and the matters that you feel the UPND has not performed. You have talked about the economy. I wanted to hear from you. The UPND has achieved what is known as debt restructuring. The UPND on that boasts all over and says, look, we have achieved debt restructuring, which all these previous governments tried and failed to achieve that. I want you to weigh in on that. The other issue that you have
in fact, they are not the first one to achieve debt restructuring. Okay. As you know, under President Mwanawasa, we had to address the issue of having acquired the status of a highly indebted poor country. So that was a real drastic restructuring from debt to zero debt. Okay. So, and previous to that, in the 1970s and 80s, the United National Independence Party was going in and out of IMF programs. They have always been about restructuring debt.
Okay.
And they've always resulted in just a different setup of debts. But at the end of the day, we are still indebted. So whether you restructure the debt or not, we are still indebted. So that, in other words, this is another example of where what they have done, which has been done before, has proved to be not fundamentally change causing enough, because we don't want to change how much debt we owe. We want to go to a stage where, without charity, we can have debt management which can be managed within our own economic development plan.
Yes.
This experience, which is not the first time, again underscores the need of fundamental change in the system of the economy, that all these little changes, IMF loans, IMF loan forgiveness, IMF loan rescheduling, are not enough. We have had this sort of treatment and that way of addressing our problem in this manner since the 1980s, and it has not worked. So we need a change of system beyond what we were promised in 2021, beyond what we have been promised each time there was an election.
Now, I want you now to you are speaking well on a number of matters here, but I want to ask this question, and I will ask this question from you as a statesman. Are you telling me, Uncle Aka, that maybe 5 years, you want to say, the whole lot of these 5 years or the 4.5 years, because the team is still moving, though we are now almost going down the slope of the team. Are you telling me that there is nothing the UPND has achieved?
Far from that. There is a lot that all our government administration have achieved, but it has not been enough. It has not tackled the fundamental problems of power sharing. It has not tackled the fundamental problem of equitable development. It has not tackled the problem of an economy that is dependent, an economy that sits together with underdevelopment, an economy that is disarticulated in the sense that that follows the colonial pattern, where the bulk of the territory is living in another century. The bulk of our territories are still using pit latrine, which stopped existing in Europe in the 19th century. While those along the line of rail and some bombers and some rich people are living in another century. Yes. So that it is time that we stop just touching here and there and bring about a minimum, at least a minimum program of radical change of system, radical constitutional change, so that after we have had the next constitution, it should stop being an election debate. Developed countries don't spend the 62 years discussing what changes to make to their constitution. The constitution should be a setup which is a foundation that is stable and that is a win-win for everybody and allows. And this is the reset, the radical reset that is called for. This is the radical reset that has not even been attempted in the last 5 years or in the previous years. Because in the last 5 years and the previous years, we've been satisfied with manipulating the constitution to partisan advantage, to personal advantage, to disadvantaging other parties, disadvantaging other things. So those changes now, my prayer, my hope is that we will use the opportunity on the 13th of August 2026 as a decisive moment. Someone called it a Sinai moment, when we come to terms to our responsibility to solve our problems once and for all by resetting the foundation, the political governance foundation, the economic management foundation of our country.
I want to conclude on this part of set of questions with your statement on this, and I want you to look at this. The UPND government has achieved free education. You have heard children who could not afford to go to school in Shangombo, children who could not go to school in Kwarabo, children who could not go to school in Sesheke. Today, they are going to school free of charge. The UPND government is saying they have increased CDF and they are distributing CDF equitably using CDF committees around the country. Don't you feel that you as a statesman and as an elder, you are being maybe unfair to these UPND guys?
No, I'm not being unfair. I'm being serious.
Okay.
You see, education is not about quantities, how many students. You know, for the last several months, I've been receiving reports that in some classrooms, there are 65 children, primary, in a classroom. And 2 weeks ago, when I mentioned that figure, they told me to visit a particular school in Mungu to say there are 100 pupils in a class.
And did you go there and did you see that?
We had difficulties in getting the attention we needed from teachers when we were 30 pupils in a class. When you double that, treble that, multiply that, clearly we have to examine whether the quality of education is being addressed. The quantity of the number of pupils may be addressed, but education is both a quantitative and a qualitative thing. And really, some of us have been shocked with even talking to university graduates. I was working with one university graduate from Unza, and he's been doing a master's degree, and he asked me where Accra is. just this week, some Zambians showed their ignorance that they've never seen the dress of Ghanaians. The thing they call the blouse is most famously seen in a picture of Kwame Nkrumah on Independence Day on the 6th of March 1957, when he was announcing the independence of Africa, of Ghana. And when he was saying the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it's followed up by the total independence of the whole of Africa, he was dressed in the same garment that president of Ghana last week came with. And many people who have finished 12th grade, or I don't know if they call it 6th form already, were unaware of that. Those are the products of your education. Even before you were staffing classrooms with 65, 70, 100, or whatever number it is. And I'm not speaking from without, because as a family, since 1989, we've been sponsoring a community school. So I know what quality of education is in many schools. And I'm told the numbers I'm talking about, which are more than 65, are found in Chilenje, a stone throw from State House. Those are not the numbers in a classroom that produces quality education. You want me to say good things about the UPND? Yes, let me say that the idea of free education is a good thing, but it's not enough unless it produces the quality of education. It gives the quality of attention that students need to be really educated.
Well, Zambia, as you
talking about CDF. Again, I'm not talking from theory. I know that the CDF is being distributed corruptly and dishonestly. I know that, and every person in Zambia knows that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm having His Royal Highness, I love to call him by the title of his birth, Prince Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika, one of the great leaders I have met, and I know that he's very passionate about Zambia. But we also meet and discuss on a number of issues on Africa and stuff like that. But tonight, we are looking at Zambia Decides, as we are moving and gravitating towards the 2026 general elections on the 13th of August. The state of the opposition in Zambia is worrying. Prince Aka, it's worrying. The state of the opposition.
Yes,
it's like anyone who has got, they want to be a president, and it's like everybody. And now, I am told you are part of the Council of Elders. We want to hear from you. What are you doing in that Council of Elders? And how did it come about? And as you talk on that, we want also to hear what successes have you scored 6 months to the elections? Mwafika Pesa, where are you? Yes.
Thank you, Mpai. First of all, this concern over the state of what is called the opposition has been expressed many times by many people, more loudly in recent times. And in response to those concerns, some senior citizens, whom I respect very, very much, called me together with a senior chief from the north, from Muchinga. And when we went there, we found judges, elder retired politicians, and religious leaders. And they informed us that they were worried along the lines that you have expressed. And
Yes.
I informed them that, in fact, you are not the only ones worried. A lot of people are worried, and there are some people taking initiative. And I told them of my own initiative, that I've spent a lot of time in the last 3-4 months talking to many of the people putting their names forward. And that I advised that using their prestige as senior citizens, they should feel free to call these people. And they co-opted me into that arrangement, went along with that suggestion, and we have met almost all the key people whose names have been put forward by themselves or by others. And we met them individually in some cases. We met them in twos. We met them in groups of alliances they were in the process of forming. And after meeting them,
Yes.
I began to differentiate that it's not everybody who is called opposition who is actually opposed to anything. Some may want to replace HH, some may want their party to replace UPND. Otherwise, they have no quarrel with the system.
Yes.
And they are taking their chances to do that. But we also detected that there were others who were very serious and concerned that this change this time coming should be more than changing the person of the president or the ruling party, but should address the political and constitutional dilemma we have faced all our lives, should address the economic situation that has not changed securely for the majority of our people. We should address the issue which I call negative ethnicity, grumblings about people feeling discriminated on the basis of their language group or cultural group, and also other problems. And therefore, during this interaction, it has been suggested that in order to increase the chances of success, this agenda, which is not just in opposition, but this is an agenda for democracy and development change. All those who are in favor of this comprehensive change, they are better off coming together,
okay,
and consolidating their numbers. And what is the key thing is to recognize that throughout the independence period,
yes,
it has been demonstrated that one of the fundamental problems or political problems in Zambia, which links up to economic problems, is this personalization of power. And it's this single party dominance, overreach, which undermines the independence of the judiciary, the overseeing functions of parliament, which undermines the traditional authorities, which undermines so-called local government because of the lack of adequate power sharing about it. So problem number one has been this personalization of power.
okay,
That if we are to solve the problems and address the fundamental problems, we should consider an idea in which political parties in Zambia were born with. Because one of the key slogans of the Northern and East African Congress at its founding was leadership through teamwork. So in the beginning of the independence struggle, our forefathers believed in collective leadership, not personalized leadership. The personalization of leadership is a development that started from the mid-1950s and degenerated to what it became during the independence period. And this is the cause of the problem. So that those who are coming together with the idea that they should constitute a political team leadership, a cross-party political team leadership of believers in the agenda of development and democracy change.
Okay.
Secondly, that whoever one of them is ultimately selected as the presidential candidate or vice presidential candidate, they should understand that and treat others and be treated by others as only first among equals, rather than the idea that one person will become our messiah, or one person, we have to organize ourselves around one person and hope to be saved. So that is one idea. The second idea is that they should get together and organize themselves to campaign together in a cross-party, and also commit themselves to a particular agenda which addresses these fundamental challenges that we faced, and also constitute a government which will be a cross-party government, a government of national unity, if you will, for the purpose of achieving a reset program based on the minimum program.
Okay. So anyway, Zambia, here you have it tonight as we are chatting with Dr. Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika, who is with me right now. And he's speaking a number of issues, and we are discussing issues towards the year that we are in, the activities that are coming. He has shared with us about the successes, what he calls successes, and the failures of the UPND government. And also we are now looking at the issue of unity among the opposition. As you know, that they have constituted themselves as the Council of Elders. And he's trying to break it down to us. There is a number on the screen that if you want to participate in this conversation, kindly give us a WhatsApp call on that number. You are free to call on that number right now. And Uncle Aka here is going to answer your question. Right now, before we receive any phone call. Yes, Uncle Aka, you wanted to come in quickly.
Yes, you had asked another question. I've not responded. What success have we made? Yes, so far, we have 10 to 15 political parties who are ready to work together in this manner. Okay. And we are arranging a national conference at which they will deliberate over these issues and constitute themselves as they will determine as a team how they will campaign and how they will form government, and particularly address the minimum program that is required to reset Zambia. This conference is set up within the next 2 weeks. So that is the progress, but it's a big challenge because that
was my question. That was going to be my next question.
Yes,
in fact, I wanted to ask,
because
I wanted to ask a direct question there. I wanted to ask a direct question there. Out of the 15 political parties that you've got, do you have some of the members of the Patriotic Front? The reason why I'm using the word members of the Patriotic Front it's because the Patriotic Front is very fragmented. And as the Council of Elders, have you tried to sit down the Patriotic Front with the fragmentation that has gone in? It's another question, but it was going to come as a rider. Yes.
Yes, we have met all those whose names have been put forward from the PF, all 12 of them, except 2 who are abroad. We've met them in groups of 2, 3, 4, and 8. But ultimately, we've met them all, and they indicated signs of being ready to enter this process. Unfortunately, in the process of fulfilling their promises, they've had even further differences among them. But our approach is to reach out to everybody. We are not trying to put ourselves in a position to solve PF problems, but all those who have put their names forward, whose names have been put forward, we are inviting them, we are urging them, we are reaching out to them to join hands if they believe truly going beyond changing the person of the president and the ruling party to radically changing the governance and the economic system of Zambia. If they believe in that, then they will understand that this is such a mammoth challenging task that we are better off addressing it in a united format than as single individuals or single political parties. And in any case, if they have other ideas of how to approach it, we are inviting them to participate in the national conference so that they can enlighten us and enlighten others on the way forward to ensure that we put the best foot forward on the agenda of real radical democratic and development change beyond changing the person of the president and the person. I'm saying this repeatedly because this is mentally very challenging to Zambians and many Africans, because this is not what we have experienced. For 62 years, we have experienced personalized leadership. We have experienced, whether under multi-party or one-party state, in all cases, we have experienced single-party dominance and overreach. So it seems as if this is normal. So what we are calling for is a change of mindset, a change of objective, an upgrading of the radicalness with which we want to change, an upgrading of the fundamental way in which we want to change, rather than just massaging problems that remained as they are after the massage.
Wow.
So we want to massage the election, not to result in the same non-change change, which we've experienced 7 times since independence.
Wow. Yo, that's very serious. That's very serious.
Because even people I'm discussing with, even the people we are working with,
yes,
you think that they've understood, but every now and then their language reveals that mentally they believe in dictatorship. Mentally, they are looking for a messiah. Even though
so now, how do you intend, like you have really said mentally? I was going to ask this question before I say how do you intend to achieve it, but let me ask this question. Are you allowed to share with the viewers, because time is gone, and I think it is important for these viewers and the listeners to begin to say, okay, we know that the senior citizens are talking to political party A, political party B. Are you allowed to divulge that information, or that information is exclusive?
No, we are working in a politically suppressive environment, so we don't cheat anybody ourselves that there's anything we are doing that the state doesn't know, and
Yes.
there's nothing we are doing we don't want the public to know. So we are very transparent. I should say that
yes. Mm-hmm.
The first step we made in public was to call a conference in which political party leaders and some of their members and civil society came, and on the 16th of January, and they constituted a national conference planning committee, which is working. It has met 3 or 4 times so far. We hope that it's having its last meetings in the course of this week, so that we'll be able to know what the plan is. The plan is still in the making, and some of the pieces are not together, particularly the financial end, and all sorts of other little things which we hope to put together in the course of the next week, or not much further than that. But I should say that I was privileged to be elected as the chairperson of the planning committee, and my co-chairperson is Dr. Mbikusita Lewanika. Before we proceeded with the very first meeting, both myself and my co-chairman undertook that we ourselves personally are not interested, are not available to stand for any elective position. We want to be facilitators. Secondly, in the course of the second meeting, the would-be presidential candidates who are leaders of various political parties who attended pledged that they will remain part of the team that they constitute, even if they are not the presidential candidate, which I thought was a very encouraging statement. So we are moving forward together with people undertaking things that make the goal we have seem possible. But it's a difficult one, as I said, we recognize fully. But we wouldn't have problems that have lasted 62 years. In fact, some of these problems started showing their heads up even 74 years ago, long before independence. So they are deep-rooted problems. The problem of tribalism, the problems of using the vote properly, and all this have been there. So this is a big challenge. But I believe that it can only be solved by us. If not us, who? And really, how intelligent are we if for the 8th time we again go and vote, change the president, change the ruling party, and remain with the same unchanged situation? So as thinking people, I believe there is hope that we can gather a critical mass of people anchored on the political parties, because that is the system we are operating, who can lead the country to the fundamental change that is necessary.
Well, as we begin to wrap up, let me begin to just ask some few direct questions so that the people that are following us on different platforms are able to go back with what we call takeaway homes or takeaways. On the teams that you are meeting, there are few political parties that are ringing in my mind, and I would love to know if they are part of, because you have said within 2 weeks, you should be able to meet and they go into convention. And I've also heard you that you are also meeting some alliances. Is the Socialist Party part of the process on the people that you're meeting with, in terms of those that have agreed? Now, I'm not talking about those that you have just talked to, but I'm talking about those that have agreed. Is the Socialist Party of those that have agreed to go with you?
We have talked to them. They participated in the process until the last few weeks, but we are still reaching out to them, and we are still reaching out to all political parties, including what I must be excused to call fragments of the PF. We are recognizing those names that have been put forward, whether they are now fragmented or not. We are inviting them all to come. And but the key thing is that we are also not naive enough to assume that everybody will come. As I say, I don't even like the word opposition, because it seems as if nobody asks the question, what are they opposed to? We want those who are opposed to personalized leadership. We want those who are opposed to single party dominance. We want those who are opposed to group domination, so-called tribalism. We want those who are opposed to constitutional manipulation, and who are determined that for once, 62 years after independence, let's sort out this constitution. Have a constitution process that takes into account all the grievances we have had against all the other changes to the constitution, so that we have a win-win and comprehensive constitution. Those who are that serious need to get together, are being invited to get together. Those who have other motivations.
Has Hari Kalaba been approached, and has he responded? We've got a call.
Yes.
We've got a caller.
We met with him and his team at least twice, but of late, he seems not to have come along. So as I say, we are not so naive as to think that everybody will come along. In any case, some of those will not come along.
Just hold on there. Just hold on. We've got a caller on the line, and let me allow the caller to speak to us. Yes, go ahead, caller.
Yes, good evening, Prince Aka. And I just remembered that you just had a birthday. So happy belated birthday to you. My name is Kapali Daka.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Hello?
Second question I have.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Okay, yeah. Come again. He did not hear the question. Just summarize it so that he can maybe pick it up on the point. The last part of your question.
Yeah. I do hear a Balose issue come up. This time I haven't heard of it. So I wanted to find out if Balose issue, you've made progress with the UPND government. And then I have a second question, that in 1991, we remember, you helped fight for multi-party democracy. But until today, we're not in a democratic nation, with the passing of Act 13. Has democracy failed in Zambia? So that's my second question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, so those were the two questions. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay. On the Barroso question, the Barroso question is one of the outstanding, long-standing problems that various government administrations in Zambia have either caused or failed to resolve, or cheated people that they are going to resolve them. And this hasn't changed. So when we are talking about outstanding problems that have dogged us since independence, that is one of them. And I hope that the leadership team that will be constituted at the conference will address this issue honestly and with a determination to resolve it. At a minimum, they should discuss to consider revisiting the Roger Chongwe Commission of Inquiry.
Yeah.
And address issues arising from that as a basis to open genuine and honest discussions and negotiation, dialogue, whatever word you choose, with the Barroso government.
All right,
There's also a right at your question about what the UPND has done. The UPND cheated the people of Barroso land.
Let's pick another caller. Let's pick another caller, and then you will respond to that. Hello, caller. You are through to Zambia Decide. All right, we've lost that caller. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Yes.
I'm saying they cheated the people, and on top of betraying their promises, they've insulted the people of Barroso land, declaring repeatedly that Barroso land itself does not exist. Can you imagine if somebody came to say Rubemba does not exist simply because? So anyway, those who understand how insulting that would be and how ridiculous it is for an African to say that about an indigenous African kingdom, who understand. But let me be very specific on where they have failed. Having said that, they offered to negotiate. And in the negotiation, before the negotiation started, there was need to agree on the rules of engagement. And the Barroso side came up with their suggested rules of engagement. The Zambian government side came up with their suggested rules of engagement. The Zambian side's suggested rules of engagement were petty. They were about dress code at the meetings. They were about speaking one at a time, speaking through the chairman, the normal meetings. The Barroso government rules of engagement were aimed at setting the right environment for serious negotiation. One of the rules of engagement suggested by the Barroso government was that if this negotiation and dialogue was to take place, at the very first dialogue meeting, both President HH and His Majesty Letunga should attend and address and signal their commitment to this process. The Zambian delegation rejected that HH is too big to negotiate on the same table. Two, the Barroso government asked that, can you, before we go into negotiation, recognize the authority of the Letunga in council? By the way, the expression Letunga in council is always misunderstood. It is another way of saying the entire Barroso government from village level to the central authority. Can you recognize this authority over Barroso land? The Zambian government refused. Thirdly, the Barroso government asked that while we are discussing this issue, can you decriminalize talking about it? Stop arresting people and charging them with treason when they discuss these things. The Zambian government refused. They refused every other serious condition which would have set up the environment for negotiation. And that's why the negotiation broke down as a follow-up to the broken promises that had been given. My hope is that as part of the determination that for once, let's stop carrying over national problems from election after election. Let this one be another one of those issues that we have to address conclusively. And it's my hope that the next government in Zambia will be more honest than its predecessors, will be more serious than its predecessor, and would be more determined than its predecessor to address this issue conclusively.
Well, Zambia, there you have it for tonight. We have been chatting with no other than but Prince Honorable Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika. As he is right now, as he is, or we've got the last caller. Let me pick the last caller, then we can give an opportunity to Prince Aka. Hello, caller. Zambia Decides. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes,
Good
please
evening.
go ahead and give us your question. Well, the network seems to be failing on the other side, and our time seems to have run like water. Now, before you go, I want you to quickly give us your closing remarks. But as you bring in your closing remarks, allow me to suggest to say a few things to you. Zambia is going to the elections on the 13th of August. It has been almost 8 months since the passing of the 60th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, who is not yet put to rest. And we wouldn't put entirely the blame on government, but we would also say, you, the elders, more especially you, Uncle Aka, my question with your colleagues in the team, what have you done about it? The same way you have gone to the opposition, did you as the elders make an attempt to sit down and go to meet HH and tell him to say, hey, wonder they sit down here, listen to us?
I think the proper phrase, the way people, party leaders in the opposition came to us, we were asked. Okay. And we have not been asked by HS. But despite him not having asked, I am on record on at least 2 or 3 radio and television interviews.
Yes.
Saying that this issue requires a give and take situation.
Correct.
That this issue has been politicized, and that there is nothing to stop the president making the big move to compromise and allow the family to have its way. As far as I'm concerned, if the family wanted to bury him in South Africa, I was okay with that, because I know that the future will always hold prospects when conditions change, that the bodies could be brought back home if that is the desire of the family. And I gave examples, and many people have given examples where this has happened, including over the body of Osajefu, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Correct.
So there was nothing that could have been done. Secondly, that the family side also could have compromised. But given the situation that neither side was prepared to compromise, if we had a proper government system, there would have been other centers of power other than the presidency, which could effectively have intervened to solve this problem once and for all. But given this centralized, personalized power, it means there is actually no force in the country that can go against the president of Zambia. These are some of the fundamental constitutional changes that needs to be made like yesterday, like last year, like last decade, like since 1969. So that it's a sad situation, it's an embarrassing situation. I don't even see how we can even line up to vote for a new president or to re-elect the same president when the last president who sat in that office lies in a morgue. It is a shame. It is a shame. But of course, if either parties, I'm told that they've had negotiation in which each party has chosen representatives who have tried and failed because of the treatment they got from the other side. Some of the people nominated by one side felt slighted by the other side and withdrew. So this is a shameful situation we are in.
Well, what a sad situation we are in Zambia.
Very sad note to end on, and it will be a sadder note to go to the election with.
Definitely. We hope for the best, both for the Lungu family and those that are involved in the mediation and negotiations. Uncle Aka, we just want to take this time to appreciate your time this evening to join us and speak to the Zambian people. What is one last word you have for the nation? So that, let's say, God forbid, let's say if you closed your eyes today and you said, I left this word with Zambia, what word would you say before we go to the election?
We should keep hope alive, and we should reinforce our determination to change our country for the country we want. I do not believe that in their heart of hearts there are any Zambians who want to continue with this personalized leadership style, who want to continue with this single party dominance, who want to continue with the fact that the minute you announce a cabinet, the rest of the country is busy ticking the names. Who speaks Bemba, who speaks Lozi? We need to have a constitution which resettles these issues. We need to take this ethnic, negative ethnicity, this tribalism, as a key issue that the next government must resolve, not piecemeal, but really seriously once and for all, in the same way that they should solve the Barroso question, in the same way that they should solve the constitutional problem, in the same way that they should address some of these other economic problems.
Well, Zambia, thank you so very much for joining us. It's from me and my team right here. It's a wonderful Sunday evening as we prepare for Monday. Have a blessed night, Zambia, and have a good night.